Okay, we're here. Are we ready?
Yep.
Stop the work and fucking hold for everything.
Cool. Welcome to the Whole for Everything podcast. Jake is clearly hot right now because that AC was blasting right through the introduction.
Well, you can just do the intro again.
No, we're not. This is episode. I don't know what episode this is because we skipped about a month because we're all busy as fuck.
2 weeks.
Some of it, you're right, but still, it's been a lot because we've been pretty consistent with it.
Yeah.
Jess is on. What is she on? She's on a feature film, and she is the Best Boy Electric, or I don't know. But what's
Is she Best Boy?
She said BBE. So.
Yeah, that would be it.
I guess she said BBE because she's also not a boy. I'm just assuming
Well,
she does not identify.
Well, but that's just the title. Like,
is that okay, Jake? Do you think
know.
eventually?
I'm not, but it's just what that position is called.
we're pretty liberal, but like, where do we draw the line? Like, if they just came out and said Best Girl Electric, or I mean, boy and girl are kind of weird titles for people that are older the age of 18.
In a general sense, yeah, it is. It's a strange position title because, like, just even also, like even in like a older, entirely more sexist industry, it's like, who the fuck want to be called the best boy? Like,
even a guy, even a guy who.
Oh, that's the best boy right there. Old. Yeah. Imagine 40, you spent your entire life working in G&E, and you're just the best boy. It's like you're talking to a dog. But yeah, I mean, it is just what that position's called. Whether or not it's appropriate, I mean,
I would accept it if I was getting paid $550 a day.
Yeah, I mean, that's
call me Sally. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, there's a position of there's a amount of money where whatever you call me is fine. Like,
I mean, I don't know how low budget it is or whatever, but I'm sure she's getting a pretty penny to be away for. Where's she? She's upstate. She didn't have Wi-Fi for the first couple weeks, which is why we couldn't find. The first week, none of us were available, or me and Jake were available for one of the days, but I fucked up because
because you fucked up.
I fucked up. I fucked up because I hung out with somebody and I said, hey, you can come by, but just letting you know, like, I'm going to be recording the podcast because, ride or die. If you want to hang out on the fucking sidelines, or I even said, hey, maybe you jump on your laptop and you could just join us or whatever, just so that you don't feel weird about whatever. And she said, no, it's fine. You could just do your podcast and I'll just hang out. So little by little, I mean, the day went on, and then she came over. She's like, I want drinks. I want this. And I'm like, all right, well, and then Jake said, what time are you looking? 9 or 11? I was like, let's just do 11. Cause I was like, I see where this night's going. And, but maybe I could still make it happen. So 11 o'clock, 10:45 rolls around, and I got a text from Jake. So any update? And I'm like, I got suckered. I got suckered into this situation, and I rode a moped, almost killed us both, and now we're here 2 weeks later.
After being like having biked through the pandemic. I've now realized, because, at one point I had a car, so I had very little sympathy for bikers, and I still kind of do, because I still, as a biker, see people doing the dumbest shit, and I'm just like, dude, just slow down a little before you blaze through that red light. Like,
dude, we were going...
But the fucking mopeds, most people on those I've realized that that's like the true enemy of the road, because they're going in the bike lane, in the car lane, through red lights, making like
they don't care. They don't care.
It's like, where did you think that? Why do you think this is appropriate? Like, you can go like up to 30 miles per hour on those, so you should be in the car lane. But like,
those shits go. We were riding. It's not the blue one. What's the blue one? Not the
Revel. Not Revel. Lime or whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah. It was like a free. I paid like $1 to get like a free ride or some shit like that. I don't know how much it is normally, but like I was like, all right, let's just do it. We've never done it before. It was pretty like, I don't know if industrial is the word, but it was like somewhere in Brooklyn where there's like maybe like a bar in some like hidden spot, but it's really just a spot for like truck loading.
Were you in like Industry City at night?
Possibly.
Because like Industry City's a little bit like that.
Yeah, it might. I mean, it might have been one of those areas, but obviously, like in the morning, it's like filled with trucks and shit. But it was nighttime, so there was nobody around. Anyway, yeah, nobody gives a fuck. We were going 2 miles an hour because I was afraid. I didn't. You know, I was trying to get the hang of it at first, so we were going super slow, and these motherfuckers are flying by. I almost crashed into another scooter, but I'm like, how do we almost crash? I'm going so slow. So that was that night. And then I don't know what happened last week. Why didn't we just were.
I can't remember. I think we tried to make a plan. I think what happened last week was we had one night where it worked, and then I had friends in from out of town. So it was like, no, I'm going to hang out with these people I like never see. So, and then you kept being like, can you, it was like, we could have done it Thursday. And it was like, I can do it Thursday. And then you were like, no, I can't. And I don't remember why you couldn't, but you couldn't for some reason towards the end of the night.
So I'm also on a feature, and it's all the way, it's in Newark, New Jersey.
Is that just like where you work? Because like, I feel like every other thing you do
I'm always in Newark.
Yeah.
No, so I'm on a feature, and I'm not a PA. I'm a swing, which is cool. So I'm learning some shit, and I realize how draining being a PA is. Like, you know, you're 3 years in, and you're just sitting around and you're thinking, and I kind of feel like that's why I stopped writing and things like that, because I've just been so drained by the fact that I'm still a PA, and I'm just like, bro, you're 29, you're about to be 30 next year. Like, what are you doing? Like, move up to something, do something. But
I mean, it's just, that's part of like just the industry. Like,
I know
I've realized just this past week, because I started working at that not at the shop, but like that wood shop called me in that I used to work for a lot before the pandemic. And so we're doing some shit for Disney Theater Group. And, you know, I like the company, I like the people I work with and all that shit. But like day one, last Monday, I'm there and I'm just like, oh, I hate this so much. Like, I didn't realize, like, this is like, because it's nowhere near any of the work I actually like want to do. But it's like, it's nice people. The owner's nice. Like, he's very understanding about like, because he works with people in film. So he like knows like, oh, you're going to be on set sometimes. You're going to not be able to take shit. Like,
you can take the day off.
There's like he gives you all the chances to be available or not available. So it's super understanding place. So that's why it's cool. But like,
at the same time,
is it just draining to be sitting there for like so long doing doing absolutely nothing that you ever thought you wanted to do.
that's really what it like. I like, while I'm on set, like as a swing, my day goes by so much faster than it would be had I been a PA on this thing. And to top, like, I mean, it's also Newark, New Jersey, so you're not getting like the best of the best people working as far as like PAs and stuff. You're just getting like local Newark kids who'd never really been on set. And, you know, no offense to these kids, but I'm just like, I'm sitting there like, what the fuck? and then I'm thinking, when I am a PA, is this what other people above me are thinking when I'm doing something stupid, or and it just, now I feel like I'm gonna feel even less whenever I'm a PA, because I'm just gonna be thinking about what I think about these PAs when when I, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I can follow. But
I
mean, like, I think
that's a shitty way to think, but
well, no, but it is also valid, because I've worked with like as a PA, other PAs that have been like, bro, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I think it's just because it's like that pretty much bottom rung position. You get people who are like super like, oh, I want to do shit. I want to get like move up, try hard, do all that shit. But you also get people who are just like, I need some money, and I saw this on like Craigslist or some shit. Like, so you get the people who are there.
That's really
just like waiting out the day to get like to get their like whatever 210, 250 like per 12. They're just like, I can set up a tent for 250 and then wait the next 8 to 10 hours and then take that tent down. Like, it's you get the wide extremes. So I think it's easy to notice it, more easy to notice who those people are, which can't people fall into when you're not in it at the same time.
Yeah. It's
a lot of those dudes that are like super lazy are also very nice. Like, they're very nice people, but it's like they're not doing anything, and you're just sitting there like, what the why are you here?
Yeah. I mean, because there was a PA, he got fired. That's the whole other story, but he was an odd kid, but I'm like, maybe he seems a little slow or whatever, but maybe he also doesn't want to fucking be doing this shit anyway. Like, he showed me a video, and he's like, oh, it's my music video, and it's like music. I'm like, I don't listen to music, whatever. It's not my thing. But
you don't listen to music?
I don't listen to that. Sorry, my sentence got cut off. I don't listen to that kind of music.
Okay, I was gonna say, one, I know you do. I've been in your car. And two, like, what a fucking statement. Oh, sorry, I don't listen to music in the vast generals.
That's the title of this episode. We don't listen to music.
We just have a new song at the end of every single fucking episode.
Great songs, though. Great songs. The only thing people like about these fucking things. Anyway, what was I talking about? The kid.
The kid got fired.
Whatever. He got fired. He got fired because he was a terrible driver, and he would just be saying like weird shit throughout the day. Some of it was funny, like it was just hit or miss. Like, you were like, all right, this kid's fucking weird, but every now and then he says something funny.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Whatever. The point of the story, the point of that was, even though I think he's fucking slow and something's wrong with him or whatever the case is, he's probably got other aspirations outside of being a fucking PA.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's a lot of people like that. Where we at? We could jump to Loki.
Well, you've only watched episode 1.
I've watched okay, so I watched the first like 3/4 of the first episode, and then today I said, "Fuck it." No, because I fell asleep.
Oh.
And then not because it was bad, just because I fell asleep, and I think I just started the feature or whatever. Anyway, and then today I started watching the second episode, which I also haven't finished, and I think today episode 3 came out. So
today or last night, because I just watched episode 3 right before we started recording this.
I think it comes out at like 3 a.m. Eastern time.
All right.
Every Wednesday. So I mean, we could just call this the review of episode 3 while you we could just
tell you what happened in it.
Yeah, I mean, all right. So basically, what I've gathered from conversations that I've had is, episode 1 is just kind of a recap of how Loki ended up in the position that he's in. He's taken over by the TVA,
Time Variance Authority.
Time Variance Authority, which is run by Owen Wilson's character.
No, he's
not run by, but
he's like he's a detective-esque character in it. So Owen Wilson, he's not the grunts that basically like bring in Loki in the beginning, the first people you see, he's maybe like one rung above that, or maybe like they could even be just like equal positioning, just different jobs. But like, yeah, it's not run by him. It's run by like the fucking Loki calls them space lizards. There's people who are like running the timeline basically.
The vibe that I got was that Owen Wilson is a part of that organization, but eventually he's gonna kind of help Loki outside of the organization in a way. Like that's like his sidekick kind of in a way.
Yeah.
Like he Loki makes him go from a suit to being a regular guy, maybe realizing what's wrong with the organization that he works for.
That's possible. I mean, he wasn't in episode 3 at all. Like the way it makes sense the way episode 2 ends. They get separated. I mean, it's hard talking about it because I don't know what you know about it. Not like spoilers, but it's just like okay, no.
The last thing I saw was episode 2 and the volcano. Loki's saying he's from the future, and Owen's this is a bad idea. This is
so you already know that they're chasing another Loki, like another timeline.
Which I don't know how I feel. I don't know where it's gonna end up. I guess because I didn't see episode 3, but I never really liked the whole.
Well, it's not actually, spoiler alert, it's not actually Loki, though they haven't really officially revealed this yet. It's a different character, not Enchantress from DC, but like they have a character called Enchantress in Marvel Comics.
Okay.
And maybe they retcon it into like an actual, like she has storylines with Loki. In fact, I think Loki technically is the person who gave her powers.
Right.
Like it was just like a regular human, but like the character's
comics,
name.
You mean?
Yeah. In this one, unrevealed. It could be they're just taking. It could be that they're just taking aspects of that character and throwing them into actual female Loki, because that character also does exist. But female Loki is what people call her right now. But she goes by Sylvie, which is just the human name of the character, the Enchantress character from the MCU.
So in the comics, there's a female Loki and then there's Enchantress?
Yeah, they're two different storylines, basically. Because, it's all different universe bullshit. But, like, they are two different characters, but both exist. So it still could be a combination of the two. It could be like, oh, this is female Loki, and we just decided to call her Sylvie and give them powers similar to Enchantress, because we're kind of going our own direction. We liked aspects of both characters, but being that they named her Sylvie, and so far in the show the powers are only vaguely similar to Loki's, it is, I think, leaning more into that direction. That it's like, this is probably
that it's both.
No, that it's just the Enchantress character,
the one character,
because she's only done one vaguely magical thing, versus Loki can do like a ton of different various magical things.
I was gonna say, like, Marvel's weird about like weird character changes in the actors, like they did with the brother from WandaVision, shit like that. But I don't know if they would go as far as like combining two characters.
Yeah, well, that's why I don't think they're going to. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're playing up the idea, like the fact that female Loki is more popular than this character. They're probably not going to call her Enchantress, because they probably don't want to risk confusing with DC shit. So they might never call her that, but it is probably going to be revealed. And at least my theory is that it's going to be revealed that she's not even Loki. It's actually probably just someone that Loki in a past time messed with, because, like I said, her origin of having like any powers is Loki gave them to her.
Oh, so you think
normal human that Loki gave powers to, and I think maybe fucking forgot. They already showed a clip where in episode 1 where Loki was DB Cooper of all things. So it was like, The idea that he's done so much shit and forgotten
who's
some of it.
who's DB Cooper? Just
DB Cooper is a real person who
okay.
It's probably an alias. He's never been caught, and there's a great chance he's dead by now. But that thing where Loki was on the airplane, I think that was episode 1.
Where
they're going through like his past
copy,
and stuff. Like that's like a real person that did actually all those things where he said he had a bomb on an airplane, got a bunch of money, and then just jumped off once they gave him the money, jumped off the airplane, and none of the money nor him was ever found. So
do you think they're gonna do more of that? Like he's the one who shot JFK type shit?
No, because I think they threw that in there just to show that, like, oh yeah, like he was doing goofy shit on Earth before. Like I think it was just like we're going to show the fact that he has been there and has done just like odd, like weird. He is responsible for some different shit that we haven't talked about yet. So I don't think it's going to be that important that like he is a part of big historical events and shit. It might be. But it seems the way in my mind they're leaning is like, oh, he is, because right now they're stuck. That's where episode 3 is. Him and Sylvie are stuck.
Where are they stuck?
On in an Armageddon planet. I can't. That's the name of the planet's the episode title as well. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head right now though. But it is. Okay. You look at episode 3. It's like, oh, that's the planet they're on.
So he's
going through its own apocalypse.
I see. And he went there to go catch her.
Yeah, vaguely. Like, at the end of episode 2, like, they find her, and he gets separated from the TVA. Her plan goes into, like, action, and he vaguely prevents it. Not, like, in a real sense, but, like, interrupts it. So, like, the shits that she's done is still ongoing, but he manages to like kind of sidetrack some of her shit, and he's trying to get like a alliance, I guess, with this person.
Okay.
So the episode is that, and they're stuck on a planet that's about to die out, and the episode ends with them being stuck on that planet still.
So do you feel like because I spoke to somebody and they were like, well, they revealed her as the villain. But the way that you're describing it sounds like they're going to be like teaming up together.
I think it's going to be like
team up and then she's the villain.
I just don't know if the way that it's going is they want the way that they talk about it and how quickly they revealed her is like probably not. Like I bet she's not a hero. I don't think any point of this whole show is for like a true standout hero. Like Loki in general is at his best an anti-hero. Like he's often a villain, and most of the time like when he's doing good shit is just like because it's convenient for him, like just a outlier character in like morally ambiguous character. And I think it stays that way. I don't think they're trying to make Loki, because they already kind of vaguely gave him heroic moments in like the Avengers Endgame and shit like moments. That. Yeah. So I think they're really, he's going to stay mostly in that gray area.
The tweener.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be her as well. I think it's going to be like team up. There's going to be moments where they're teamed up and moments where they're antagonizing each other. And
love interest?
Hypothetically, it's possible. It's still, I think it's too early to know for certain. They're kind of in this episode showing that, but also they spend a lot of time reassuring you that Loki lies about everything. So it's hard to see it's not hard to see a thing where him or her steer it towards that direction just for an eventual betrayal.
Right.
Well, I was going to say, like manipulation.
Is it possible that Owen Wilson's character, like, you know, everybody likes him now? Are they going to pull a fast one like they did with WandaVision, where the best friend is actually the villain? It was her all along. Like, no. Is Owen Wilson like the mastermind behind?
No. This past episode just had a reveal where the TVA people, like the people behind the desks and shit, Sylvie revealed that they're all, quote, variants. It's just like, but they don't remember anything from that period of their life before they were like taken in by the TVA and basically like brainwashed. So I think Owen Wilson's character ends up being essential for like the good cause, and like kind of breaks away from that, like you were saying earlier, but just in a slightly different way. And the villains are probably like the timekeepers,
the leaders.
Yeah,
I see.
The people
people that captured him in the beginning.
No, the people in charge of the whole structure.
Copy.
So like they talk about it briefly, and that's why I think that they're probably the ultimate villains of the series, because they got to episode 1 is like you're chasing evil, like a different version of you, and then episode 2 is like, hey, look at that, they're here. It's like, that's so fucking fast to reveal like the big bad. And like, I get it, it's like, yeah, you want to give them screen time, sure, but like,
yeah,
there was not a chase. Like, there's not like it was no outmaneuvering, no like climactic thing. It was just like, did it, figured it out, there they are. And so I'm just like, there's no way that is
yeah,
I mean, maybe they do a bigger twist and it's like all strangely enough part of their plan, but like the way they're leaning right now, they're slowly hinting more and more that like the TVA and like the creatures that run it, like the 3 timekeepers, that those are the
main
ultimate like villains.
Okay.
And I still think I think everything's going to be very morally ambiguous. Whereas I think they'll be villains in the sense that they are who Loki is going to ultimately be fighting against. Mm-hmm. But they're probably going to have some justification for the things that they do. Like, I don't think it's going to be like, oh, they're just like a big bad.
Even the
like,
villains.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be like a big bad like Thanos. I think it's going to be like, they still have their reasons, and it kind of, not necessarily to be sympathetic. I don't think they'll get enough screen time, but you won't come away from it being like, oh, they're evil. It's like, oh no, they thought they were doing the right thing. Like,
but I mean, you could say could say the same thing about Thanos and Killmonger. I think.
Well,
I think
Killmonger,
Thanos,
I think is
like.
Well, Thanos is a fucking idiot. He has the Infinity Stones. He can do anything he wants, and he decides instead of like just like, doubling the
I'm
resources,
just going to destroy everything.
Well, he's like, there's not enough resources to support life. It's like, you know what you could have done with the Infinity Stones is just straight up double the amount of resources that the universe has. Like that, and they tell you time and time again that it's like, oh, you can do anything if you collect all of them and can like wield the fucking power. And so instead of thinking for a moment that maybe he just makes more shit for people to use, he's like, nah, gotta kill him. Gotta fucking kill him. Like, it's like, no, you really could just not be that, not do that. So I think he has his reasons, but it's a blatantly villainous act to wipe out half of the fucking universe.
I mean, but like you said, also Killmonger was the same. I feel like everyone left Black Panther thinking Killmonger had a really good reason for being an asshole. But it was because it was realistic and it was relatable. And
yeah, and the thing, like, what they did really well with that is, even though he like loses the battle, Killmonger kind of wins the ideological war at the end of it, where Wakanda does open up and does start trying to help, like, because his whole thing was like they abandoned what, if I remember correctly, like his mom to some shit.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then he got like kind of locked out, I think, in Oakland. He was in the United States, wasn't he?
I was gonna say Chicago, but
it might have been some cityscape. But it was like he ideologically he was proven correct, and it was just like the methodology that he was wrong in. And that's like an interesting thing that they actually, the first time that they actually made a well-written villain was Black Panther, basically. Or it was just like, oh yeah, I don't agree with creating paramilitary factions, but like you're correct on like the goals here. It's like, yeah.
Is he I was gonna say, is he the Hamas of the Marvel universe? Or is that stupid? Was that dumb? I don't know enough to make these comments, but I would imagine.
Yeah, I don't think they're so connected, but
I guess
I think Hamas is more extreme, like by a landslide. But I don't want to get into
you can edit that out.
It is yeah, maybe we should.
I've gone too far.
No, you haven't gone too far because like
I feel like there was something to what I said.
Yeah, there are things that you could point to, but I wouldn't. You know, shit. I am on the side of a free Palestine, but not necessarily a supporter of Hamas. So, because there are, it's like the country versus the extremist faction.
That's what I mean. So you agree with what Killmonger believes, but the way that he's going about it, you're like, nah, bro, what are you doing? Kinda? No.
Kind of. I'm not. Yeah.
I honestly, I don't know.
It's a wild oversimplification, but
it is. I'm sorry. I don't know enough, so I'm done. I'm done talking about this.
But, let's dive into hot button politics.
I don't know what I'm talking about, but free Palestine and fuck Israel.
Oh my fucking god! You remember when we got negative comments? We're getting nothing but those now.
For the Loki.
For the Loki review.
Everyone in the comments
is gonna be like,
nobody's talking about Loki. It's all about.
It's all we've opened it up to just the Israeli-Palestinian debate, which, my God, is not what we're set up to really handle.
Bro, speaking of debates, this is not even movie related, so maybe all right, never mind. We don't have to talk about it. But
we're going to talk about New York City because we can talk about the New York City shit.
The mayor?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
What other debates are there? Like, I thought you were going because they just had one like 2 days ago, and we voted for the past week and yesterday.
That's it. Eric Johnson won. No, it's over. Somebody said he had not Eric Johnson. Hold on.
Eric Adams.
Yeah, that guy. He's the Brooklyn guy. He just got 31% of the vote.
But that's
12:42 a.m.
That's not how.
It's a primary.
Yeah, that's also not how ranked choice balloting works.
That's fucking the stupidest shit I ever heard. Explain
ranked choice. All right, so rank. Yeah, I'm going to because you need to know this, but you rank your candidates, and so like you can win on the first draw if one of the candidates polls 50% or higher. So like if he was at 50, if he ended at the counting at 51%. Would be voted in because you can't get higher than that. Everyone else is combined only would even if someone got literally every other vote only adds. But like since he's at 30, what happens is they drop out the last place person, and so when everyone voted, they put the candidates that they support in order. So like if you didn't support so say you support Andrew Yang, and he kind of officially conceded, so I think he's also going to come out along with the bottom person, speed it up a little bit.
Oh, so he
was your number
one. Kicked out.
Yeah, he didn't. He polled. He's not last place, so he polled high enough to probably continue. But I think he looked at the numbers and was like, "No, it's not going to be me." But if he was your number one, and he didn't make, it was because roughly 10% of the first votes were him. So,
but. I was going to say 2 months ago, I would have said everyone I think would have said he was going to win.
Yeah. Well, that's because he was name recognition.
And then he opened his mouth.
Yeah.
And then he said that. Then he pulled an Eric. Yeah. Then he pulled an Eric and he was like, Killmonger is just like Hamas. Vote for me for mayor.
But so he's out, and now you have your person that you ranked number 2 now gets your vote. Okay. So, like, say you supported him, and then your second place was Maya Wiley. And now suddenly Maya Wiley gets that person's vote as opposed to Andrew Yang. So it's a system that lets you vote for, even if you don't think they're going to win, you don't get punished for voting. Like, that takes away the narrative of, like, well, you gotta vote for Joe Biden because he's the moderate candidate. Like you can now, it opens up to more people having a chance and taking away the narrative that it's going to like result in some greater
so now
problem.
How do they break it down? Like if nobody hits that 51%, how do they break it down afterwards? Is it like do they debate between the top three, or is that debates are over and they just
keep
do a
cutting out?
revote?
They keep cutting out bottom people. So like because when you voted, you put your top 5 candidates. The basically whoever got the least amount of first place votes in the first run gets booted, and then everyone who had them as their first, now it's their second place votes go into effect.
Okay.
So right now it's all first place vote. It's all who is your number one choice votes.
Okay.
So suddenly for the last place candidate, all of their votes go to whoever was number 2 on those voters ballots.
I see what you're saying. So they need to look at the people that dropped out. They need to look at where their votes went out after they. Yeah, I see where.
So it's just.
What are the odds that? I mean, I'm not saying it's stupid because I don't really understand. I mean, I understand now that you're explaining it, but like, what are the odds that you voted for Yang and your second choice
Yang just so happens to be everyone's third place vote or something like that?
Well, no, but like, let's say Eric, whatever the fuck his name is, Eric Adams, he's got 33% of the vote. So obviously there's a lot of people that like him. So let's say Andrew Yang is out. What are the chances that those votes are not going to go in? Like, I guess Eric Adams, I would imagine, has such a big lead that it's not gonna, the second place dude is not gonna just somehow gain enough votes to beat.
Well, it just keeps going until you either have just 2 people left, or someone hits above that 50% threshold.
Okay.
So now, like the instant that he's, because there are people whose second place is going to be Eric Adams. So, but then there's a lot of people, like anyone whose first place was Diane Morales.
Okay.
That might not be her last name. I might be mistaken. But like anyone who's their second place votes probably be like Mila Wiley. So it's like
because
she's the more they're both like on that progressive further left side of it. And right now it is Eric, at least last I checked, it's Eric Adams, Maya Wiley, and then Catherine Garcia. I don't know. But
I mean that's kind of cool.
Yeah. So it is just
it sounds a lot better now that you've explained it, because to everyone else it's like, okay, why do we need this? This guy got the most votes, that's it. What else is there to
well, it just lets people, it expands the voice you have, so it's not like you don't vote for someone because like you think you're going to waste your vote. So it's like you could vote for your extreme actually represents you person, or it's just like I believe 100% of what they do, without worrying like, but does that mean that the person that I absolutely can't stand is now going to win? Because it takes away that kind of voter anxiety. So suddenly you can just fully support a guy that you maybe even admit is a very, very, very long shot candidate, and then also just put below him your next people. And
it also like whenever we do the I don't know what's the term for it, whenever we do these lower end vote, I mean, I guess mayor is not, but I guess when you're voting for your Congress people, or there you go, when you're voting for your city council or whatever, like everyone just votes red. In this unless I'm wrong, the Democrats and Republicans and whatever, they're all on the same list, and you kind of have to just do it in your own order. I mean, I guess
in this primary, no, but like in the general election,
that's what will happen. Are they still going to go?
Well, no, because we have closed primaries in New York, so if you're a Democrat, you can only vote on the Democratic primary ticket. But once it's in the general election, then I think like at least in my mind, what you're saying is correct. You can vote for any of the candidates list like on the general election. So like when we're actually voting for mayor, not just who's going to represent the Democrats for mayor.
I see. But when you get to the general elections, only the two options anyway. So right, or do they do several?
I'm certain there's third-party candidates and shit. Just because it's Republican, Democrat doesn't mean there's not someone out there running on like some crazy ticket.
So that would be interesting then, because let's say, okay, so let's say they do use this new system and people do vote for this independent, and the people that put this independent as their number one, if they're number two, like the independent's not going to win, like whatever, you know what I mean?
More than likely, yeah.
Right. So then their number two will get those votes, which would have been very helpful or not helpful, whatever the case is, for like.
Well, it just expands
the Trump election, and like that would have been interesting to see. I mean, I guess I'm sure statistics show the answer to this already by now. Like, if people didn't vote for Bernie, who would their votes have gone to, kind of thing. But like, yeah, because especially with that, it was pretty split. Like, people would still vote, like people who voted for Bernie would have rather vote for Trump than Hillary, so that would have been interesting to see the outcome.
Well, I think from that was like
right after Bernie lost,
it was like 10% of people who voted Bernie voted Trump. I think it wasn't like a remarkable split in 2016. It was like, well, there was people voting for outsider candidates and they liked this one better than the other outsider candidate. But
I guess also that
it just expands your voting voice, basically. And it gives people, it doesn't like create like this huge opportunity for independence, but like it expands the opportunity for people in independent parties to gain a voter base, because suddenly if you're a libertarian, you can vote for the libertarian candidate and not think like, well, fuck, what if that like far left socialist person wins, and then vice versa. You could vote for your like communist and then not be thinking that like, oh well, what this means like Mitch McConnell now wins. Like, it's
right.
It allows you to actually more fully express the layers of your opinion versus like, well, oh, go on.
Oh no, I was going to ask it. Is New York is this the first of its kind, or are there other states already doing this and we're just hopping on board?
We're early. I think technically Maine or Vermont has something, like one of those other eastern states. But like, there's a couple states that have done it, and then it's not the exact same way they do it. In fact, it's probably more arduous in France, but France has a similar election system. It's just they make you physically go out and vote again.
It's kind of like the NBA playoffs in the way that they did it this year.
A little bit of a play-in team, yeah. You're all 8, 7, 8, 9, and 10 are all potentially in on the race,
and it makes it interesting because now they all have to try. Yeah, and they can't like just fucking phone it in.
I think they should probably do just 8, 9, 10, 11 for that bottom seed. Make like a mini play-in, because the 7 seed is typically not historically contested thing. It's like, oh yeah, you're above 500, you're not like the best team, but you're also not like, they're typically far and away from the number 9 seed even on games, because typically it's like the 8 seed might be at 500 like as far as winning percentage goes, but the 7 seed is typically like, oh, you're at least like 4 or 5 games up. There's no reason that they should be punished for having a plus 500 season. But like,
did you want the Nets to win, or did you not give a fuck at that point?
I wanted the Bucks to win that. I want the Suns to win.
And where are we now? Because I'm not up to date with anything. So the Nets are out.
Nets are out. So Eastern Conference Finals is Bucks and Hawks, Atlanta Hawks. And I think as much as like this dream run for Atlanta is, they're not going to repeat what Miami did. And Milwaukee's just going to stomp their shit because they're a very small team. And unlike Brooklyn, while they have Trae Young and he's been amazing, they don't have much of anyone else doing shit for him beyond that. So like, if they could beat Kevin Durant, and everyone's like, oh, James Harden was injured, but it's like, he was still on the court, so we're still going to count James Harden as playing.
Yeah,
it's like, and
if they beat KD, then they can beat anybody else.
Yeah,
most
like
likely.
KD's the most talented offensive player in the game, like bar none. He can hit every shot. He has a high 3-point percentage. He's 7 feet tall. He's got decent ball handling. Like he's a monster. So
me too.
You're 7 feet tall with decent ball handling. But like, so I think they'll be able to handle the Hawks. And then in the Western Conference, it's Suns Clippers, and the Suns are already up 2-0. They just played last night. It was a fantastic game. Went down to the wire. But
blew it.
Yeah,
I didn't watch it.
Well,
I'm trash.
Anyway,
speaking of basketball, I know this will interest you. You might have to look this up because I wasn't able to look it up because I was making the list. So the HBO series that we all went over, the cast
Showtime
with,
Lakers.
Yeah. I remember we were sitting there like, what the fuck is the show? And then
then we were like, for some reason, like the top 3 people we had never heard of, but then suddenly towards the lower part of the list, we were like, holy shit! Like, why aren't they top billing? Yeah,
it's probably because they're in like one episode because they couldn't afford them or whatever. But they casted.
Go on.
No, I was going to say apparently they casted Jack Nicholson and Richard Pryor, and I didn't look up who it was, so now I have to look it up. Hold on, I'm looking it up. Jack Nicholson. It's gonna be some fucking Joe Schmo, I can tell. Casted. Oh God, I don't know how to spell. Where's Jessica when you need her?
Yeah. Also, Jack Nicholson casted is probably just gonna bring up what the fuck he's getting, what movie he's going to be in soon.
That's exactly what happened, and I'm glad you're here to call me out on that, because
Lakers show Jack Nicholson.
Here we go. Karina, nope. Pivotal players in the series: Mike Epps. That's but that's reports. Oh, Mike Epps is going to play Richard Pryor. That's awesome.
Perfect.
Didn't he play Richard Pryor in like a movie or some shit?
I have no idea, but I support that. Did they give Richard Pryor a movie? Is it like a biopic?
Or maybe it was like a fan cast. It was like, yo, if they do this, this would be perfect kind of thing. Or maybe he dressed up. I don't know. I feel like I remember seeing something. Mike Epps is so funny. He should be so much bigger than he is. And
and he's been around for a long time too. Yeah. Like it's honestly, I'm hoping he has like a Bill Burr-esque late career boom. Yeah. Because Bill Burr's been around for forever. It's just the past like 5-6 years that he's like really blown up though.
Which is crazy.
Yeah,
that just goes to show, like, because we are in the not that we're in the comedy world, but like we're aware of people like that. So, but now that we're like seeing this dude, he's basically he's taking over for Louis.
Yeah,
he's like
he filled that void. And he's also not a fucking.
Well, we don't know yet.
Yeah, well, yet to come out, but I mean, for Louis, there was those rumors forever. They were just unsubstantiated.
Well, he was also making jokes about it, so it was like kind of the rumors. You kind of get mixed in with his comedy, and you're just like, well, what's the difference between? Why the fuck isn't this telling me who the fuck Jack Nicholson is being played by? dude, this is crazy. Adrian Brody, John C. Reilly, Jason Clark, Jason Segel, Sally Field, Quincy Isaiah, Solomon Hughes. I don't know who these people are.
You don't know who Solomon? Burnham. All right. Bo Burnham's in it?
Bo Burnham. Yeah.
Who's
Bo
he playing?
Burnham is playing Larry Bird.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we did know that, and we were both like, that's fucking wild.
Yeah. Did you play?
All 3 of us.
Did you play? Did you watch hold on, before we even get into that, let's finish this fucking
this bit.
Jack Nicholson. Yeah, where's Jack Nicholson at? How is that not the number one thing on here?
Maybe he wasn't cast and it was a lie.
It says Elliot just actors as Richard Pryor and Jack Nicholson. Upcoming. Okay. It's either Max E. Williams or Mariama Diallo, and I'm assuming Mariama is a woman, so it's Max E. Williams is Jack Nicholson. Fuck it. I don't know who that is.
Yeah, I don't know either. We spent a lot of time figuring out who we don't know.
People are. Welcome to the film podcast where we don't. Oh, I still don't know who this guy is.
Does he look like him?
I can see them do it. I could see them pull it off. I feel like
whoever's editing can put a photo up of him right when you go, oh.
That's how That's how spur of the moment this podcast is. I don't even have somebody to edit this shit. I don't even know who's gonna edit this right now.
Oh Jesus! Should we just put it up?
Like
I'll
this.
Edit, I'll mix the audio and then just put it up. I have DaVinci, so I can hypothetically do it, but I've never done.
Oh god! But then you gotta make all the clips. You gotta put up your other
I'm not
song
making
on
clips.
the clips.
I'm not making any fucking clips.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So Jack Nicholson, some random guy. Anyway, that's the end of that. We just talked about basketball
for a long time.
and 2 seconds of Jack Nicholson and this other dude, and then 15 minutes of the mayoral
candidates and the differences of ranked choice balloting.
Anyway,
and why it's a good idea.
Back to TV related shit. Jon Stewart, Colbert. I don't know why this is a big deal. It's TV related, kind of. But
him talking about the lab leak hypothesis.
Yes. What are your? I mean, I don't know what else. I guess. So anyway, if you don't know what happened, Jon Stewart went on Stephen Colbert. Stephen Colbert hosts not the Tonight Show. He hosts whatever David Letterman used to have, which was The Late Show. So Jon Stewart goes on. They're best friends. People have been debating on like if Jon Stewart just went off the cuff on his best friend and just started talking about.
Let's talk about what
leak.
Yeah, we'll talk about what that is first. Yeah.
So Jon Stewart goes on as a guest and he starts talking about COVID and he starts making jokes about the news that has come out. Not necessarily confirmed, but it's more of a most likely situation that the coronavirus, I don't know if you guys have heard about it. The coronavirus was leaked through a lab. And it's not conspiracy anymore. It's a very big possibility that it is true. I think, though, I'll just say what I think before you even get going. All the like Jon Stewart. I mean, there's a couple things. Jon Stewart is obviously a liberal, and he comes out and he starts making jokes about the lab leak, and everyone on the right or conservatives, they all hop on this and they're like, see, we told you so. We told you it was a lab leak. But I think the biggest issue is that maybe a lot of people on the left were wrong about it being not being a lab leak or being a lab leak, whatever you want to say. But I think the biggest issue is that it's being piled up with the idea that it was purposely released into the world in order to just fuck up the entire
and I think that's the big
entire planet.
That's the big aspect of it, is not necessarily because it's not confirmed. I think like the UN did a thing and they were like, it's possible, and that was where they left off. Where it's like, it's not impossible that happened, but also where it gets muddied is the people not necessarily being like, oh, it could have leaked from a lab, or people who are being like, see, I told you China was attacking us. Like, there's a different, a bit different feeling between the two of them.
It's a silly idea, because why would they, in order to attack anyone else, any other country, they would have to hurt millions of their own, which I guess is possible. I'm sure in history, like, we've done the same. Sure, countries have done the same. I just feel as though, like, in the year 2021, you're not gonna kill thousands, or I don't know how many people died in China, but you're not gonna kill millions of people in order to hurt other countries when you don't know who you're going to be hurting. Like, it seems
too much variability for that be a plan of attack. But that is like, just I don't like the purpose. It being purposeful is where it gets like the more like the weirder people involved, where it's like, I told you it was lab leaks. Like, no, what you said in early 2020 was this was a biological attack. Like,
yeah.
It's like there's a difference between like, oh, it's a mistake in protocol versus like this is specifically done to fuck shit up. Like,
but also I think,
and the Jon Stewart controversy I think is because so many people see him as like this liberal hero, and it's like
he's always played both sides. He's always like
it's like people forget that on the Daily Show he. Like, obviously he skewered a lot of like conservative talking points, but he also didn't have any problem pointing out when like Democrats and other more like liberal people were doing stupid shit too. It was mocking the news. That's why his show was so great. Yeah, it was all about stupidity in the news, not just Fox News. It was like Colbert Report was about the stupidity of Fox opinion news. Like, not the Daily Show. But anyway, there's a chance that this is all still like hype too for his upcoming HBO show.
Like, I
don't actually think that's actually happening, but some people are like, please let it be so. But it's like I don't get why so many.
What? You don't think his show's gonna happen?
No. His opinion, the hand wringing that like some progressives are doing about him potentially being his real opinion and some weird kind of betrayal if it is. It's like, dude, it's a guy.
He's
like he has no obligation to believe everything that you believe. Like,
right, and I don't think it was that crazy of an idea. I don't think he thought that it would be that big of a deal after he said it. Like, he's hanging out with his friend who he's known for years.
Yeah,
and he's just shit talking. That's it. And he's in a room full of liberals who I'm sure he knew that he would get a reaction out of. Like, that's the best kind of comedy. That's why Bill Burr is great, because
every time Bill Burr is on Conan, I'm obsessed with it. Like, all of his Conan interviews, because the crowd is just never ready for the shit that he says.
Never ready.
Then he riffs off of their reaction, and it's just like, this is brilliant. Like, this is a master.
He goes, and you're like, why am I laughing about this guy who's talking about beating up some woman for 10 minutes? And then you're just like, he's a comedian and whatever. And it's also like the context of it. You know what his beliefs are. You know what he doesn't believe. So when he's making a joke about something, you're like, you kind of blur the lines. You're like, I know he doesn't mean this thing.
Well, but that's also just, I think when people going into, like, I guess for the last 5 minutes of the show, cancel culture kind of thing, is just like, it really is, as far as comedy goes, just your ability to tell the joke. Like, Bill Burr does a lot of controversial shit, and it doesn't really come back to bite him, because by and large, he knows how to tell the joke. Like, he's good at what he does. But when people like that dude who got booted from SNL after he got like a set that where he basically just went on stage and was
no, that was wait, what do you?
It was a guy that
two different.
It was a guy that was hired. Tony. Yeah, it was a guy that was hired and then immediately thrown off.
Oh no. Okay, you're talking about Shane Gillis.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Shane Gillis, yes.
But like, his set just wasn't it wasn't good. Like, it was just going on stage and
Shane Gillis, I don't know if you're mixing. Are you talking about the most recent thing?
I don't know. I don't follow SNL this religiously to know how often things like this happen. I just remember there was one that was particular, like, people were like, fucking cancel culture at it again. And I looked at like the video of like the set and I was like, yeah, this is stupid. It's not even jokes. Like,
okay. So if it's the Shane Gillis thing, I believe it was him. He was doing like an Asian voice on a podcast or something like that. And
no, this was an actual set. Like it wasn't it was like in a club. So it was a video.
Okay. Then I think
club doing something.
Okay, so then you might be talking about Tony Hinchcliffe, which is the most recent thing that just happened, and it was he wasn't opening for him. Tony Hinchcliffe was the headliner, and the Asian comedian recorded Tony's not, I guess, not outro, just like his, give it up for this guy kind of thing.
Yeah.
Apparently he's done that for, a couple of shows prior to that. And the Asian comedian, he recorded it and then posted it online and said happy Asian something day or whatever, and it went fucking viral. And not that it was out of context, but it was like
that's still not what maybe I'm thinking of a different person than those two altogether, because I'm remembering it being like the video is part of a set, like they're in their material, not like going into and like leaving like someone leaving a stage. It was more like a cell phone video of a set that happened, and this is like quite a while ago at this point. So
okay, I mean, maybe it was
some other person that, because they never stepped foot in like 30 Rock SNL. Or an SNL show. Like,
yeah, it's probably Shane Gillis. Maybe there was more than one occasion. Maybe that's why he got canceled. It was just like several things that he had done. But
yeah,
I will say though that Shane is. Because I watch him on podcasts now, because he's pretty much made a comeback of his own. He's basically,
well, that's the other part of it, is that you can, nothing's permanent, and basically when people are like, oh, that guy's canceled, it's like no one actually has the ability to do that shit. So it's like, honestly, you can easily come back and redeem yourself. Like, it's not that complicated of a thing.
It's even funnier to see him on podcasts because he's surrounded by comedians who all they do every so often, or every like 15 minutes, they'll joke around about how he got canceled from SNL.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's funny that everyone can make fun of it. And also now he's got a YouTube channel where he pretty much puts out SNL skits.
Yeah.
With himself and a whole, not a cast, but like he's writing and directing it, and it's like, it's like a fuck you to SNL. Like regardless if he was wrong or right or whatever the case was.
I'll look it up.
What the fuck were we?
We were talking about Jon Stewart. And then we got into Bill Burr and the concept of like cancel culture is mostly about being like, dude, your joke sucks. Like, not really the material therein. Just like, it's Bill Burr talks about race and like gender and all sorts of shit. He's just good at it. It's actually funny. Like, people will laugh if it's actually funny material.
But I feel like he can also get away with it because his wife is a person of color, and
but a lot of people know that. But like,
I know.
Yeah.
Well, I guess
I think more people know that now, but
yeah. But also, I don't think he's been married for that long, and it's like a whole thing. Anyway, we'll just talk about one more thing.
All right,
one more thing.
Last topic.
Sorry.
Well, we're at an hour.
That's right. In the Heights, the controversy that I don't really understand because I didn't watch the movie, but from what I gather, it's a movie about pretty much what you would expect to be a Latin crew. I don't know if they made In the Heights movie in the past, or
it was
just always a Broadway show.
Yeah.
But now that Lin-Manuel has, I don't know if he wrote it, but he directed In the Heights. And
I think it was his first Broadway show was In the Heights, or maybe it was his first one with any success. Like, he wrote In the Heights as well.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't. Okay. This was prior to Hamilton.
Yeah. Okay. In the Heights didn't succeed. I mean, I don't think it was an utter failure, but it didn't succeed the way Hamilton did. It didn't have a long-lasting life, to the best of my knowledge.
Copy.
I'm also not a big Broadway buff, so I could be wrong about that. But I do know Hamilton was his first triumph.
Obviously
he got it on Broadway. It was on Broadway. It was like a show, but there's it didn't really go a long run.
Right. I don't think I would be caught dead watching Hamilton, even though I heard it's amazing. But because I'm just not interested in any of that shit.
Yeah, I'm not about to buy tickets.
I also just whatever. Anyway, so people are upset with Lin-Manuel because the cast does not seem to represent the culture that is being represented in the movie, from what I'm understanding. There's not as many Latinx people in the cast. I don't know what that means. I don't know if it's full of white people or is it full of black people, or is it?
My understanding was it
just not enough.
No, was that it's very narrow view of like the range of like that ethnic group. Basically, I think I only very lightly read on this was that people, like, a lot of people are upset because it doesn't show the diversity within. So it's like a lot of very light-skinned, conventionally attractive Latin people, as opposed to like it ignores like
Afro-Latinas.
Yeah, it ignores that a section of it. So it's like very. I think it's still very. I think it's cast like everyone is like appropriately cast in one way. It's just not showing the diversity of. It's not like we cast a bunch of white people. It's just that they also didn't. It's like that neighborhood doesn't really look like that kind of thing. Because it's about like
it sounds like it's more of like a white passing situation. Like
I think it is just also like you very rarely get like this Afro-Latin representation from, and it's like for a thing that's like so
opportunity.
And from a movie that's so very focused on that, like not like on like Latin culture and stuff like that in this neighborhood, because I think it's all in one neighborhood. I've never seen the movie or the play.
It's in the Heights, bro.
Yeah, but like I don't know if they explore further than just that section or not. Like whatever, but like yeah, it's ignoring something like that. I don't know. I mean, I don't think it stopped it from being hugely successful, and I've even seen articles talking about like, it does fail in this way, but it succeeds in these. I'm wondering how much of a controversy it's going to actually end up being. If it's one of those things that's on the internet for a little bit and then kind of gets blown over, or if it actually has lasting staying power.
Well,
I'm certain that he said something about it. Yeah,
he did. He said they fell short.
Yeah,
which is probably devastating to him.
Yeah,
because I think the movie got delayed from last year, obviously because of COVID, and everyone was so excited about this. And I had friends on Facebook who loved the movie.
Yeah,
and then afterwards,
the people I know who have seen it have loved it. So I'm certain it's probably good quality in one way or another.
And it's odd though, because the people that the people that I know that have seen it are all Latin and they've enjoyed it. And now that the controversy's out, they have to be like, oh, we hear your concerns. And now it's like, I mean, I'm not them, so I don't know, but it's like now they have to feel bad about enjoying this movie.
Well, they don't have to feel bad about it. Like, you can acknowledge when things are like not like, if this is the one thing that the movie falls short in, it's not the greatest thing to fall short in, but you can acknowledge like the failings of something you enjoy. Like a lot of shit out there that misses most everything misses some of the marks that it should probably
sort of
hit.
A mark.
But like there's also just like not the other view of it. But like I remember, and it's not like a true point of comparison, but like people also get upset about a lot of things. I remember when people were upset about like Zendaya being cast in Spider-Man.
MJ?
Yeah. And people were like, what the fuck? And the directors were like appropriately just like, it's filmed in Queens.
Right.
It's supposed to be Queens, New York. This is what Queens, New York looks like. So it has like this wide, diverse cast, but a bunch of nerds were just like, where's my white Queens? It's like, it doesn't exist, bro.
Also, Kirsten Dunst was never casted well, so I don't understand. Like, why were you not more mad about that?
But yeah, So not to say that they're anywhere near similar, but it could be. There's a lot of very vocal like minority groups where it's like it's a small amount of people, not like minority in like the class sense of it, but like a small amount of people who get a very amplified voice on the internet from people who are outside of that. So, I think it's just whatever your friends think, whatever the people around you think is, as like white people, is probably what we should be like on the side of. If our Latin friends liked it, they don't have to feel bad about liking it. It's like, I don't think that's the way to.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like if I had gone to see it, which I probably never will, but if I had gone to see it and I loved it, now I would feel bad about it now because everyone's like shitting all over it. So I'd be like, can I?
Well, but I guess that's the thing. Is everyone doing that?
Right.
Like, is it? Because, like I said, almost everyone I've talked to thought it was great, and you can very much just say like, oh yeah, it was fantastic. They could have done this better. That's it. You can acknowledge like, oh yeah, it was a great movie in a lot of ways, but maybe the casting could have been a little bit more diverse. Like that is a fine opinion to have. You don't have to hate something because nothing's going to change with it right now.
But now
you amplify that idea so that the future movies can be better in those senses, not necessarily like to change this because you can't change it now.
To push back on it though, I did hear the argument that for Hamilton, there was all the characters were based on real people.
Yeah.
Including George Washington George Washington? I would imagine. He's probably in there somewhere. Alexander Hamilton.
Yeah, whatever. Alexander Hamilton is...
It's all people that were in government in fucking 1895, which is all white people. Yet the entire cast of Hamilton on Broadway, there was probably less than 10% white people.
Yeah.
Can the same argument be used for that? Like where were I'm sure there were people that were like, why the fuck are you doing this to these characters? Why can't but I'm sure the outrage wasn't as much. So now why does he get away with that? But then he's getting shit on for this. Is it a false
people don't
equivalency?
Really, well, it's because people don't care about live performance theater. Right. Even as big as Hamilton is, people don't give a shit. Like,
right. Well,
it's really, that's the truth of it. Like, people know it and they don't care because they're like, oh, it's Broadway. Who gives a fuck about Broadway? As successful as it is, no one really cares.
But
if it was a movie, maybe.
I see your point, but would they care though if they did a Broadway show based on black famous black people in history or whatever, and fucking some white dude is playing Martin Luther King kind of thing? Obviously that would get shit on.
Yeah, I mean, immediately. But the big difference that I can point into is history of being like there was decades and there was like multiple decades where there basically was like 3 black actors. And it was like even every single character was a white person that we didn't give a shit about. Like, so it's, and then it's like, oh, if it's an Asian person, we'll just put them in like horrendous makeup. Like, let's just do what
and make them.
Yeah, like let's just make caricatures out of white people and not even bother casting like, oh, unless it's Bruce Lee. Like it's, they let like 3 people of every different like group become like famous, but like it was 98% of everything was just like this white dude in like terrible caricature-esque makeup. So I think part of it is like it is like the same thing when you talk about it in like pure black and white terms, like of should you portray people like from history accurately in the context of like race, gender, and such and such. It's like, yeah, but then it's like, who do you get mad at when they do these things, it's like Hamilton didn't start off as like a wildly successful musical. I'm certain that like Lin was just hiring the best performers that he could hire when it started. But you know, white people have been erasing different ethnicities in media for their entire existence of media. So it's like to now be like, what the fuck, bro, is like, well, you could probably give people a little bit of time before you have anywhere near an equivalent amount of upset about erasure.
I see what you mean. Yeah. Like things have been whitewashed for decades.
Yeah.
You can get a pass if you do it once.
The opposite. The opposite's just continuing the negative trend versus like, so there is, it's one of those things where like, you have to use a little bit of nuance in your thinking to be like, well, why is this okay? It's like, well, why?
Right. Like
it's because of history, like entirely because of history. But like, you know, eventually, it either goes one way or where it's like you can throw anyone into the role, or it goes the opposite way where it's like, no, if they're real people, you have to absolutely like cover them accurately, like in all those terms. But I actually think that eventually I'm hoping we hit the point where it's just like, no, I don't give a fuck who it is. Like they nailed the role. Let them play it.
Right.
It's like, fuck it, mate.
But
we're not there yet, is I guess the thing. We're still dealing with whitewashing problems and things like that.
Well, I mean, but okay, I see what you mean. But that'll take decades and decades.
Yeah, it's probably it's unless there's like some wild, like everyone wakes up one day and is like, I guess we were wrong about the whole race thing. Like, maybe we should stop considering that too much and rewrite our legal system to be a little bit more, you know, balanced and forgiving to everyone. It's like, oh, okay. But that's not likely to happen. So it's probably something that decades or maybe even more into the future, because it is like you have to kind of, there's going to be like a retraction and then a re-expansion. It's a lot of things are like that historically.
I just think it'll never be okay for like a white dude to play like an MLK kind of character. So it's just probably weird.
Not. And maybe some of that is because like we have actual pictures of him versus like we have like paintings of all these like founding fathers. Like,
I see. Okay. Well,
it feels less real to talk about George Washington and his accomplishments than like Martin Luther King or like a Malcolm X. Like, it is like, we have photos and video, and we can hear them talk from like interviews that they've done.
I'm sure there's a good argument that could be made for Hamilton. I was just bringing it up because I mean Hamilton, it's all hip hop. You could say, you know.
I think the argument for why they got away with it in Hamilton was no one gives a shit about theater. Well, like, theater kids give a shit about theater, and they don't think about these things. Like,
so let's say they do Hamilton the movie, which I'm surprised. I'm sure is the next step at some point. Do they? Cast?
Not.
Do they cast? I don't
Hamilton?
Want them to do that. Do they cast Alexander Hamilton as a Hispanic dude?
As Lin, yeah. If it was Lin, I'm certain that people would be like, "Oh,
I'm sure he would get."
Yeah,
right. Obviously, because of the show. But let's say he's not in it. Well, no. But even when he left, the guy from Blindspotting, I don't know his name. There's the movie Blindspotting. So, the black guy took over. I think he took over, or he was already there on the show. Anyway,
I don't know.
You're out. You're done.
You're out.
You're out of it. You're gone.
I'm out of it. I guess my opinion of it, like personally, it's just like I hope to see the world where it's like no one cares, but obviously I also understand the current like kind of racial dynamics of being like, oh yeah, white people still, even though it's slowly going towards more balanced areas, still fuck up a lot in media and representation and shit like that. So it's like there's still a need to actually hit a point where we're representing real populaces better. Like, so one day I'm hoping that no one cares who's cast as what, but it's not going to be probably a day that I'm alive.
I want to be cast as Martin Luther King, and that's really why I keep talking about it.
You're too short, buddy.
How tall was he?
Taller than you.
He was sleeping with a lot of ladies, though.
Yeah, I think
just
that's
like
confirmed.
me.
Yeah, is that just like you?
Who would know better than me?
Yeah, the guy who tries to use Facebook to filter out what pics to put on Tinder.
It was a joke, and people took it seriously, including my mom. She gave her opinion, and I was like, "Does no one see that this was made as a joke?" Although I did throw some of those pictures onto Tinder, so now it seems as though it wasn't.
The joke is even more is even less of a joke now.
And it didn't help me get any matches, if anyone was wondering.
The apps are not good. They're not good for people's psychology, but that's a different show.
Okay. Yeah. I've got
I wouldn't recommend them for people, but
no, I mean, after I broke up with my girlfriend a few years ago, I downloaded it for a day, and I was like, "What are you doing, bro? Go meet somebody outside." Yeah. And then most recently, I'm talking to a girl, and she's going on dates and shit, and I'm like, I ain't no motherfucking cuck, so I'm gonna download these apps.
That's stupid.
But she doesn't know that I got no matches. All she knows is that I got a Tinder.
She's gonna know
I'm
after
killing
this
it on
out.
this motherfucker. I'm
she's gonna know now.
My phone's about to die.
All right, yeah, and we're at
Nobody's
almost
making
a
it
minute
this far.
20. Yeah, no one popped in either.
I know. Fuck these people. I wonder if anybody even like responded to the post of.
We'll talk about that in the production chat.
Sorry. Okay. I'm going bye-bye. You're going bye-bye. What are we doing? Are we coming back? Or are we?
No, I'm gonna go to my studio.
You gotta go.
Yeah.
All right.
I have to do some shit.
Thank you for.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Hopefully we'll see you guys next week. Thank you for. Hopefully you stuck around. I don't know if we lost followers or what the deal was in the last.
Yeah, this is probably and we probably lost more followers based on the contents of this episode. People who were supporting are gonna be like, "Oh God, I don't like these guys anymore."
This ain't it, dude. This guy wants to play Martin Luther King. I'm out, bro.
They spent 20 minutes on ranked choice ballots. Like, why?
I'm clipping that. We're gonna see what happens.
We're gonna see what happens, and suddenly it's just gonna be Jake Explains Electoral Systems podcast.
Yeah, honestly, like if it pops off, we're gonna have to talk about politics every week. All right, whatever. Thank you guys for sticking around. We hit 75 subscribers a few days ago, but I haven't really been looking at it because I've been sad that we haven't had an episode, so I haven't cared about what was happening.
Well, now we have a vaguely long episode, so
we do. Maybe people will be like, why did you go 30 minutes over? Well, come find out.
Yeah.
Okay. See you guys next week. Hopefully, Jess's feature will be done. My feature will be done, and
I'll start my own.
I will be like you're literally writing one and producing it. You're gonna hire the both of us so that none of us
are available to do it.
Or we just
schedule things around like preventing the podcast to happen. It's we got this time. Oh, do we have that time?
Yeah, we do.
We actually we have a night shoot now.
It's just straight up overnight, just for no reason. No, we're not even shooting anything. It's just like you have us doing security.
Instead of day for night, we're doing night for day. All right, let's end it. We're gonna keep going. Yeah.
Okay, I could do this all day, Jake. Let's go.
Yeah, I know.
We're supposed to do 3 hours.
Yeah, but I haven't been to my studio in like 4 days now, and I have to accomplish something on that end of my life.
That wasn't to make you feel bad. Okay.
We'll do 3 hours with Jess.
Really. We will. And
that's if we can get back into Jess's. Well, our phones will never record that much. Whatever.
That's what
we'll
I was
figure
thinking
it out.
too. Yeah, it would be kind of fucked. Okay. Anyway,
figure it
we'll
out.
probably be on Zoom next Wednesday because we're all still on these fucking features and it's impossible. But we'll see you guys next week. This has been Hold for Everything podcast. This is episode 13, I think.
Something like that.
We're close. We're somewhere. We're longer than I thought we would be. Whatever. I'm glad we did this. See you guys next week. And goodbye. Love you. Bounce. Deuces. Peace. Stop recording, please.
What's up, bitch?